Welcome back to Premier League Today. We're going to talk top four now and cross straight over to the Emirates to speak to Matt Floyd. And Matt, obviously you're talking about Arsenal. Have you been at that particular stadium? What gives you the belief that your team, emphasis on your team, are going to do this season and make fourth spot in the Premier League?
Totally impartial as ever, of course, guys. But you're right. Listen, the race for fourth is looking really tasty, isn't it? It's five sides effectively competing for one spot. And Arsenal are in pretty good shape at the moment. They've had a good few days. Let's examine why they might get that fourth position then. What are Arsenal's strengths? Well, it's a common misconception that Arsenal are weak defensively. In fact, since Mikel Arteta took over, only Manchester City, Liverpool and Chelsea just have conceded less goals than Arsenal in that time. They had that terrible start, of course, with 9 goals conceded this season in the first 3 games. Since then, they've really tightened up. And if you compare them to the top 4 rivals defensively, only Wolves have got a better defensive record, but Arsenal have also scored 13 more goals than Wolves, so they have more threat going forward. The back 4, back 5 now, if you include Ramsdale, is now really settled. Ramsdale, of course, has been a revelation, but you could argue that the key man at the back is Gabriel. He brings a sense of calm to the back 4 when he's in there. He's formed a very good relationship with Ben White. He's quick, he's good in the air, and the stats will back his importance up. 42 games with Gabriel in the side, 18 without. The win percentage with him, 54%, just 38 without. Goals against, they concede just 1 goal when he's in the side, 1.3 when he's out the side. Points per game, they get 1.8 when he's in and 1.4 when he's out. So those are small differences, but they're quite significant when they add up at the end of a season. I should also add that he scores goals too. He's scored 3 this season. The rest of the defence have scored just 1. So he's a key man. He just needs to stay on the pitch. We might get onto that in a moment.
All right, you're starting to convince us here, Matt. But look, can they hold their nerve? They've got games in hand.
They've got games in hand. They've got 3 on Manchester United, 3 on West Ham and 1 on Wolves. If Arsenal win those games in hand, they will be fourth. It doesn't matter if Spurs win their games in hand because Arsenal have got a much better goal difference. And let me just talk you through Arsenal's fixtures coming up, because I know no games are easy in the Premier League, but these are decent fixtures coming up. They've got Brentford here at the Emirates at home on the weekend. Brentford have lost 6 of their last 7 in all competitions. Arsenal will be well up for revenge as well after that first game. Then it's Wolves here as well. They've just beaten Wolves at Molineux. Then it's Watford away. Watford in the bottom 3. Arsenal will fancy their chances of 3 points there. Then it's Leicester back here, another home game. Leicester not in good form either. They haven't won in 5 games in all competitions. Then it's Aston Villa and Crystal Palace away. None of those sides are in the top half. It's a great opportunity for Arsenal to pick up some points.
Matt, you do realise that we've just clipped up that little section and we're going to play it back after those matches to see how close you are to predicting the results. You said at the top that you like to be objective, of course. So why might Arsenal not make the top 4? What are the reasons that give you a little bit of pessimism, perhaps?
Pretty simple really, guys. Scoring goals. That's been a major issue for Arsenal this season. We know that Aubameyang was allowed to leave. They went aggressively for Dusan Vlahovic, but it seems as though he always wanted to go to Juventus. Did Arsenal put all of their eggs in the Vlahovic basket? Interestingly, actually, some reports over the last couple of days in the UK papers saying that Arsenal turned down the chance from PSG to swap Aubameyang for Mauro Icardi. As it is, they've got Alexandre Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah here. Lacazette has only scored 3 goals in the Premier League, and Nketiah hasn't started a game and hasn't scored any. So they're now relying on those 2 guys to get Arsenal up to 4th position, score some goals in the last few games this season. But it's not just been those 2. The whole side have been in horrendous form in terms of scoring goals. They've scored just 2 in their last 6 in all competitions. If you compare that to Manchester United, who also are supposedly not playing very well, they've scored 9 in their last 6 in all competitions. Arsenal have got to fix that, otherwise there's no way they're finishing in the top 4.
Yeah, Matt, we know they're inconsistent, but let's focus on the red card situation and the discipline. Just briefly, give us an overview of that.
Talk about shooting yourself in the foot over and over again. When Gabriel was sent off against Manchester City on the 1st of January, Arsenal became the first Premier League club to reach 100 red cards. That is absolutely astonishing, isn't it? They've had 4 red cards in 2022 and they've only scored 2 goals. So twice as many red cards. And I'm going to leave you with this stat. This is going to blow your mind, guys, right? Burnley. We know what Burnley are like. Big, strong, physical, aggressive side. Since Burnley last had a man sent off in the Premier League, January the 2nd, 2019, Arsenal have had 15 red cards in that time. 15 red cards to Burnley's none. That is absolutely incredible. They can't afford to have too many more. They've got a very thin squad. They need to have their key players out on the park.
Yeah, certainly do. Matt Floyd, thank you very much indeed. Right, should we do our team of the week? We've been talking about it for the entire show.
Right, we're going to turn our chat back then to the battle for the top 4. And we're joined in the studio, we're honoured to say, by Mark Hughes, the former player and manager, of course, in the Premier League. Mark, it was never about a battle for the top 4 in your days at Old Trafford. It is these days. Are you surprised that this is all Manchester United are playing for and they might not get there?
At the moment, no, because really what they're producing isn't good enough in terms of previous Manchester United teams. There was always that expectation and demand from the team and the players themselves that it was trophies and not positions in leagues that we were always going for. So it's difficult times at the moment. It's a little bit of a period of time at the club where there's a lot of change, maybe some being enforced, other changes. The actual atmosphere around the club isn't what it needs to be to enable them to be as successful as everybody demands.
There has been quite a few managers now in succession at United. I'd love to get your thoughts on Ralph Rangnick. Do we think this is going well?
I think it's really difficult for him, if I'm honest. He's come in with the remit to obviously improve on what Ollie was doing at the time. Ollie lost his job because they had a poor period and he had to be moved aside. Ralph Rangnick has come in with a good reputation, obviously in a certain style of play that he's known for in terms of pressing and high energy teams. I have to say I haven't seen a great deal of that since he's been there in the United teams that he's picked. I think that's a consequence of the fact that maybe he's viewed as an interim manager, which he is clearly, and that's his title, and that's unfortunate for him because I think irrespective of how professional you are as a player, sometimes when you think the manager is only going to be in for a few months, then that can affect your relationship with him and how you perform for him.
Yeah, that seemed to be transferring to the crowd a little bit last night as well. It's not often that the team gets booed at Old Trafford, but at half-time there was quite a few fans deciding to boo the team off. There was a reaction in the second half. It was an important result in the end for United. Could that be a little bit of a springboard for them, a little bit of a breakthrough after all the 1-1 draws?
Yeah, you'd like to think so. At the end of the day, they've got to keep on winning games. Clearly, it's difficult at the moment. There is an atmosphere surrounding the team itself. And very rarely in recent times have the United Old Trafford crowd ever turned against the team. No. They will always look at the positive and think, well, maybe the better team won or whatever. But at the moment, you sense this frustration given where the club and the team is at the moment, and that's filtering through to the crowd.
Well, United have bought themselves some time effectively with the interim manager being there. What direction do you expect or think that they should go in? Because we were talking earlier, weren't we? Sort of Graham Potter, the English manager, someone like him or someone more continental?
Difficult to say. With the role of Man United manager, they can have the pick of every manager in the world, really, given the standing and stature of the club. So you have to understand, I'm sure every agent worth his mettle is putting his client's CV into the powers to be at United with the view of, well, don't forget us, we're interested as well. So there's an assumption that maybe Pochettino is the favourite for it, and that's who they're waiting for. We'll have to see how he does this year. He's at PSG. He's there to win trophies. He hasn't actually done that great in that regard. He was brought there to win the Champions League. I don't think he'll be able to do that this year. Whether or not come the summer he'll still be the man United want to go for, we'll have to wait and see.
I wonder, from your playing career at United, Mark, what sort of mood there was around the club when you were trying to get over the line and get back to winning the major trophies again. Of course, you had a lot of success during your time in different cup competitions, but that build up to the first Premier League title, I mean, how difficult were the years sort of trying to work it out, how to get back there?
Yeah, I was there during the late 80s and 90s, and when I first broke through into the team, United was very much a cup team. Liverpool were the team in the ascendancy, and I went away, came back to the club, and we still weren't where we needed to be, and it took a long time. And I think the difference during those days was that there wasn't that intensity or demand that the team or the club changes managers as readily as they do now. Clearly, Sir Alex came under a little bit of pressure, but that was as a consequence of not winning a trophy for 3 years. If that happened now, then there would be serious questions and more management changes. So I think from our point of view, when I was a United player, the feeling was always that we were building towards something. I think that's what the club needs to feel now.
But no sense of that now, really.
No sense whatsoever. It looks like they're looking at different areas and different approaches, and they need just to settle on clearly the manager they want, back him in terms of acquisitions of the right players to enable him to be successful, and time will tell if that's what they're able to do.
Are you confident that they can sneak this over the line? Because you do have the likes of Wolves, Arsenal, Tottenham, they've all got games in hand sneaking up.
I think, having looked at the fixture list, they've got a real difficult period to go through at the moment. The game last night, obviously with the win, hopefully will settle them down, and they need to play with that intensity that there was an expectation of United teams. That's how they're expected to play, and certainly when Ranić came in, there was more of an expectation that it was going to be high energy, it was going to be pressing from the front, and really we need to see more of that if they're going to affect teams. I think teams coming to Old Trafford now view it as an opportunity rather as a really difficult fixture in the football calendar, and I think they need to get that fear factor certainly into their format, Old Trafford, because that was something when I was a player and subsequent teams that followed me, we always had that fear factor. We'd look across to the opposition in the tunnel and we'd think to ourselves, well, this mob can't touch us, because we knew we were that good.
Yeah.
And I think that arrogance is missing from the United team at the moment.
Bernardo up for Champions League Player of the Week award. Bernardo Silva's performance against Sporting CP has seen him shortlisted for UEFA Champions League Player of the Week award. The midfielder grabbed a brace in an emphatic 5-0 last 16 first-leg victory away to the Portuguese champions, with the first of those strikes a truly world-class effort. Bernardo met a looping ball on the half-volley and rifled an unstoppable drive into the roof of the Sporting net to double our advantage inside 20 minutes. And the Portuguese international's second followed on the stroke of half-time, as his deflected effort squirmed past Odon to hand City a 4-goal advantage. It was a truly memorable night for the 27-year-old, who came through the youth ranks at cross-city rivals Benfica. And that performance has been recognised by his inclusion in the Champions League Player of the Week vote. Bernardo faces competition from Paris Saint-Germain's Kylian Mbappé, RB Salzburg's Mohamed Kamara, and Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk for the award. Bernardo Silva has described City's 5-0 win away to Sporting as a special night for him on a personal level. The Portuguese midfielder grabbed a brace as Guardiola's men ran riot in Lisbon, earning a healthy advantage ahead of next month's Champions League last 16 second leg at the Etihad Stadium. Returning to his home city, Bernardo put in a man-of-the-match display at the Estadio José Alvalade and could even have claimed a hat-trick but for the offside flag. And after spending 12 years at Sporting's cross-city rivals Benfica, earning a victory in that manner was particularly significant for the 27-year-old. It was a special night for me. I came to play at my home city, the team winning 0-5, scoring 2 goals and having a good advantage ahead of the second leg. Of course it's a special night, he reflected. I played for 12 years at Benfica Academy. I'm a Benfica fan, so it's always special to win here at the José Alvalade. We are very happy with this win and we want to face the second leg with the same attitude.